it's in progress. So, believe it or not, this is week 3 already. Week 3 of realities in criminal justice. And before you know it, and actually this is the halfway point. A lot of people don't realize that it's actually considered as midterm, because then we'll have 3 more weeks left to go before this course is over. So yeah, so I think I was telling you guys I was working on that domestic violence thing. Because of my shoulder, I asked them to take me off of that project because it involved a whole lot of clicking. I mean, a lot of clicking and stuff. So they took me off of it. So I'm helping my arm to recover, so I can takes, when you get to my age, 70 years old, and none of you guys are even close to it. You'll see. It's just good to be, as they say, on the healthy side of the world. So, all right, guys. So let's take a look at it and start and sharing my screen, so I don't keep you guys all night. Okay, so we're not going to go over this. We've been over all of this stuff here. This is a reminder that we're in week 3, and then your lectures for weeks 1 and weeks 2 are down here, as will week 3 at the end of today. And that after this, we'll cross over to weeks 4, 5, and 6. Now, let me make my announcement that I always make at the end of week 3. And when I say that, I mean the beginning of week 4. Um, I should tell you that assignments for weeks 1 and 2 will not be accepted unless you have got them going, or you have some problems, some issues. Let me know in advance, and then we can work around that. But let's try to keep that on, uh, and let me know about that. And as far as week 3 assignments, are going to be able to be accepted until the end of week 4. And then we'll be basically in the second half, week 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So if you're having trouble with anything, and a few people have reached out to me, let me know. All right. So let's look at our announcement for the week. High versus low profile cases, dealing with the O.J. Simpson trial. The O.J. Simpson trial, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I know some inside information about the O.J. Simpson trial. Discretion, politics, and public interest in high-profile criminal investigation and prosecutions also covered this week. Complete the activity media coverage of high and low profile cases. And then, of course, your initial post will be due tonight at 11:59 p.m. How does evidence make a case? And then your reply posts are due on Saturday. All right, and I'm going to talk a little bit about evidence tonight. And then finally, the written assignments: fair trial or Paradise Lost, and then the course project. So where you create your interview questions. All right. So be sure that you get those done. And then if you take time to do the mid-quarter student survey, and that's done. All right. Your assignments that are for week 2, I will be finish grading them by Saturday morning, so you'll have those. Okay. Now let's look at the course calendar before we get into the meat of this. Here it is. And it reminds you of where we are here. The 21st tells you your reading assignment that I just talked about a few minutes ago. And then your initial post. And then your live lecture, which is taking place now. Your reply post the 25th. And then your written assignment and your course project. And then, of course, your key phrase is due then. And then clicking right over, you can see that this was the last week that assignments will be due for the month of July. You know, we're in August, and August is a pivotal month because, well, I went back to June. I didn't mean to go that way. And to go that way. Okay. So you see, you have the 3 weeks in August, starting with the 2nd that assignments are due. And course ends on the 16th, finally, once again. Okay. Now, one thing about this course that you don't have is a final exam or any of those kinds of things. This is more of a project course, and it's designed to be that way because now you guys are actually pushing for your bachelor's. So it's not the same as when you were in your associates. Okay, so let's look at module 3. Let's look at the assignments. Okay, so your written assignment, fair trial or paradise loss, you look at this video and then write a 1 to 2 page paper dealing with 3 minimum issues. Um, Ensuring that a fair trial to 3 defendants in the Lost Paradise documentary once the media coverage began of the investigation. Conclude your paper with an evaluation of how much impact you think the media had on the trial itself. Don't just throw an opinion out, support it as well. And of course, you know, APA requirements and all of that, because we're going to look at the rubric now for your 100 points. So identify at least 3 issues ensuring a fair trial after media attention. You get 40 points for that and 40 points for evaluating the impact that the media had on the trial. 1 to 2 pages, double spaced, of course. You know the APA formatted requirements. And it tells you down here in the APA citation overall format, which is the same every week. All right. Any questions about the written assignment relating to this fair trial or paradise lost at this point? Any questions? You can type in the chat box yes or no. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right. So it looks like everybody's all good there. So now let's go to one of the weeks for your, well, first let's do the discussion. So the question is, does evidence make a case? And then do you think that the O.J. Simpson case was tried in the media, or do you think the system worked properly despite the publicity? How much responsibility should the media take for the outcome of this case? And from a criminal justice standpoint, do you feel that the issues raised during the O.J. Simpson trial for legitimate issues and why or why not. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the O.J. Simpson case in just a few minutes. So I'm going to come back to this. So just hold this a minute. But I do want to remind you, this is your next assignment for the course project. Now, let me explain. There are a few people who have reached out to me and said they were having trouble getting people to interview the PIO or the newspaper. And I was telling a few students that that have reached out to me that if you're having trouble like that, that's why I mentioned during first week, because I knew it was going to be something that you need to do. Newspaper or news people are all over the place. They're online. They're they have blogs that you can get into to find out where they report things. And there's so many different things that you can do as far as the news media. And also, like I said again, don't just rely on the phone. If you can't get an answer on the phone, um, email. But I tell you where I've had students who've had a lot of success is that they've actually reached out to their local television station or a station in their area and contacted the news department, and they almost have all of them have somebody that's readily available and interested, as does your newspapers. Now, it doesn't have to be a big newspaper. It could be your neighborhood newspaper as well that can do that as well. So the key thing is you want to make sure that you satisfy that information for the week 2 assignment. And then week 3, create your interview questions. That's what we're going to be doing this week. Have you doing? You need a total of 20 open-ended questions. Here's what is not an open-ended question. Do you like ice cream? So the person's going to answer yes or no. That's closed-ended. An open-ended question is a question. Could you tell me about your experiences as a news reporter? Can you tell me about your experiences as a public information officer? Those kinds of things. Think about the question. If the questions that you're putting together suggest a yes or no answer, then that's not open-ended. And so you're going to have 10 for each interviewee. And those questions are being created right now. So please include the 4 mandatory questions below for both interviews. So what does that mean? How many more questions do you need to complete? There we go, 6. So you really only have 6 to do. But the key thing is you're going to have a total of 20 questions, and we give you a head start by helping you out with some foundational things. And you'll notice that in each of these questions, it says, in your experience, what makes a good crime story or courtroom story? You know, this is something that, your reporters are going to deal with, but so be sure that you ask both of them, PIOs, about it as well. How do you check or confirm information you receive investigating a story? In other words, the credibility of a story. What happens if there is an error in a story? And then what kind of relationship do you have with law enforcement? And so forth and so on. And that's generally a question that will come up with reporters, and the PIO really won't that won't be, because they may be them, but you can ask them about with the courts. So the point of the matter is that these 4 mandatory questions to both interviews can be customized and fit whether it's a PIO or either whether it is the newspaper reporter. So create 6 additional questions. And then, like I says, reminding you should have 10 questions. Each of include the 4 mandatory and the 6 questions that you created. So it's not really that big a thing that you're doing in terms of creating it. Now, you don't have to interview the person for this assignment. You just have to get the questions and submit those questions. Okay. Now, we warn you to get as much information as you can. Again, we say open-ended questions that give you knowledge about their job and what they're doing. Ask questions about the relationship between media and the criminal justice professionals. Develop a good idea of how each entity feel about the other and how they work together, how PIOs work with the media and how the media work with PIOs. That's one of those types of things. Okay. Any questions about that assignment? Again, I don't need the answers. I just need the questions. Some people make it harder because they start trying to do the answers. And here's the rubric to remind you: 425 points. Submitted the 4 mandatory questions for both interviews. You get 45 points. 6 additional original questions that are open-ended for a total of 10 questions. All questions are relevant to the profession of the interview, and you'll get your 25 points for that. And then these are formatted. Now, this says meets the 2-page minimum length requirement. Let me say this to you: it will probably do that because it's going to take at least almost a page, because you're going to be double spacing it. It'll be almost a page for each one. And if you don't fill the full 2 pages, don't worry. I'm more concerned about the content of the question, okay, and the questions themselves. So I'm going to give breaks on this 2-page minimum. I did this once before, and once they change fix this course, which they're supposed to be doing some stuff on it, then it will be taken, that will be moved out of the way, period. So don't get bogged down by that, trying to make, your papers spread all out so that you got that. I want to make sure you have your 20 questions or your 6 questions in addition to the 4. And I recommend is that your first 4 questions in most of your assignments are laid out. Put them on there, the questions that we tell you. And you can modify a little bit to fit the PIO or to fit the news reporter individual as well. I did say this to one student: most PIOs, public information officers, were generally former news people. And I did also say that PIOs can come from the agencies like law enforcement or one of those. But I also said that they could come from organizations like, for example, here in the Chicago area, we have the Chicago Crime Commission, and they are good. They have a PIO, a person who speaks for them. So someone or some organization that is involved in crime, that's involved in those kinds of things. Okay, so you should be able to find that pretty easily. Any questions about week 2 or week 3's project? Okay. All right. So the only other thing down here is your live classroom phrase that I will give you at the end. So now let's look at the module itself. Okay. And we'll spend the rest of the time talking about the module. So coverage of high and low profile cases is what we're gonna talk about. And one of the things that I do want to point out to you, and I'm going to share it with you. I think I still have it available. Let me check to see if I put it in my, give me a minute. Let's go to my content collection. I think I have it in here. About the O.J. Simpson case. I thought I had pulled it up, but I didn't. So give me a second. Okay, that's the other textbook. It's a rubric. And it's on, if it's not on the last page, that means I took it out. Yep, I took it out. Okay. Yeah, I took it out. See, I may have it on my course home page. Let me see. If I do, then I'll pull it up. Let's reduce this. And okay, give me a minute here. Did I lose you there? Okay, I think I cut you off there. You guys can still see me and hear me? Screen is black, yeah. Let me get it back. Because I thought I had it saved in there. Oops, this is making me start the meeting again. I don't want to do that. Can you see me? Can you see anything on the screen right now? Okay, and I'm going to end up having to click on that browser to get back in there. So you all might get kicked out, then you might have to end up going back into the other. So I'm going to start. You might still be in there. You've already on us. Do you want to join the same meeting again? Yes. Okay, good. It's letting me back in. Okay. All right. So now you see me? Okay. Give me a minute. Okay. This is messy. Let me come out of stop sharing. Okay. There we go. Okay, now let me go back to Firefox. Okay, let's go back. All right, can you guys see me now? Are you getting echo? Are you guys getting an echo? You're getting echo. I'm trying to get this echo out. Okay, now still getting echo? I don't know why. Okay. Now still echo. Trying to get ready. Goodness. Okay. Now still getting echo. Still getting echo. You guys still getting echo? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to end and then start the meeting again. So I'm getting ready to end the meeting and then start it again. So I'm getting ready to log back in. Okay.